I think we on, girl. I think we on.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you all are on with us. This is the Lovers Lounge podcast. Normally, we're doing this over Apple, Spotify, and I'm recording, and we don't see each other. But today, I have Miss Goody Howard with me
Yes,
again.
yes.
And Goody, I want to tell you. You were actually one of the most listened to episodes on the Lovers Lounge,
Yes,
along with DeAndrea Blaylock Johnson, who I'm going to have on next.
yes, that's my girl.
Know DeAndrea, and she knows you, and it sounds like you guys are, she just really admires you, and that you all are cool,
It's
so.
the same. It's the same. I love my industry because so many of the beautiful women that I've met that do the same work or similar work, we have such a collaboration over competition mindset and it's genuine.
Uh-huh.
So I loved it.
That's good. That is good. Well, we're excited, and I'm all excited just to be able to talk to you and talk to her. So, why don't you just introduce yourself to everybody? Tell everybody, what you do. You're
Okay,
in
well,
Houston. You're in Houston, right?
I'm in Dallas.
Oh, in Dallas. Okay.
Yes,
So tell
yeah,
tell
I'm
us
in
all
Dallas.
about what you do. Yes.
Well, my name is Goody Howard. I'm a sexologist, educator, and consultant. So I do sexual skill building workshops, is what I call them. So I teach blowjob class, pussy eating class, dick riding class, squirting and orgasm, all that fun stuff. I do the toy parties and all of that. And then I also do professional development. So I do pleasure development and professional development. So like sex orientation and gender, sex and aging, sex and disability, and all of that for helping professionals. So I love what I do, but I'm just basically, your neighborhood dildo dealer. You know what I'm saying? Like pleasure professional, as it were.
Well, yes, and that's a very interesting job. And I think when I talked to you last, you told me, well, I had actually researched you a lot. So I had, looked into you and, your husband and when you guys got married. And I think I was like, okay, so how in the world did this all come about? Like when you all were getting ready to get married or you met,
Uh huh.
you had to tell him what you did. And I was like,
He knew
so
what I did.
how'd that all go down?
Well, I've been doing this 15 years. I've only been married for 8. Um, and we actually met on Twitter. So he knew what I did because it was all in my bio and stuff like that. And I did not know, funny story, I thought he was a girl because he had boobs in his avatar. So we used to like crack jokes and, back and forth and everything. And I'm thinking this is a female. I got me a new homegirl. And I was like,
Right.
who's going to the pocket bar tonight? It's like a live music venue in Dallas. And
Mhm.
he was like, I'm going. So he's like, babe. So he sent me his phone number and he was like, call me when you get there and I'll come out and walk you in. Which girls do that because
Right,
strength in
right,
numbers,
right,
right?
right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I hit the corner, I'm finna park. I call him. And I'm like, I call and he's like, hello. And I was like, is this Loveless Abernathy? Like, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, oh yeah, that's me. I had no idea he was a dude until that moment. Um, and we had a great time that night and he walked me to my truck and we talked until the sun came up and we've been hanging around each other ever since.
I
Um,
know.
but he is very much my person. He passes out my cars more than I do. I say he's my manager. When I met him, he was managing rappers. And so now he's my manager now because I finally need one.
Yes,
But
yes.
he is very much like one of our first dates. I was selling sex toys at a sex party, like actual people fucking around me, like sex party.
I know.
And he came and helped me sell sex toys to these people.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Roll back. Did you say people were doing what around you?
It was a 3-story building
Okay.
and it was a Halloween sex party. So some people had on costumes, some people didn't. It was the dungeon was on the top floor, and then like the floor I was on had like all the sex machines and stuff, and then the bottom floor had a live drag show and some tattoo artists and stuff. It was a cool little space, but people were walking around naked, fucking, what have you. So I had sex toys, batteries, lubricant, and condoms.
I thought that's what you said. Yes. Okay. And
Yeah.
you said sex machine. So we're gonna have to talk about that because I've never heard
Oh,
of such thing.
oh
Okay.
yes, yeah. Whole, all the kinds of sex machines. There are lots of different kinds.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it. But anyway, so this is where you met your now husband
No, I met him on Twitter. That's what I'm
on
saying.
Twitter, right? And you saw
But
him
one of
at
our first, yeah, one of our
date.
first
Yeah,
dates, yeah, he
yes,
came with me to that, and he ain't tripping about it. He's not. He loves what I do. He loves telling people what I do. He shares all my events and content and all the little groups and Facebook stuff he's in. He passes my cards out more than I do. He's on it. Like if he knows somebody, he see a podcast or something, he's like, "You need Goody on your podcast." Like he is on it.
he's so supportive. It sounds
He
like
is
it.
very much supportive. He said he want
Yeah.
to be Stedman. He want me to be Oprah, and he want to be Stedman.
Oh. Well, now tell me this. He also has a shirt, I believe, that he walks around. It's kind of like his signage for you, his shirt.
Um, so he had one. I don't know what happened to that shirt. But there's one shirt that he actually came up with. It says "Get on his dick, not on his nerves." But there's a shirt that he had, and I don't know where it is, babe. The one that says because he's over here. The
Right,
one that
right.
says your my wife taught your girl that thing you like.
Yes. And so
You're
he wears
welcome.
that. Yeah, and he
Oh yeah,
wears that at some of your parties and everything.
he wears them too when he out with his friends and they go watch the game at the bar. Like he
That's
don't wear
his
it when he with
walking
me.
billboard. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like a walking
he wears
billboard. And
all the
so
shirts.
yeah, and then it's kind of like a conversation piece. So then people go, now, wait a minute now, dude, what's this? What your shirt say, man? And then he's like, yeah, my wife does da 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 da. And then they're just like, what? Hey, give me your card, whatever. I can
Exactly.
imagine. I can
All of
imagine.
that.
Yeah. And it was funny when you talked to me about the fact that you actually uh he went to a gay sex party with you.
Yes.
And
Well,
the
it wasn't
guys
a
were
gay sex
trying.
party.
Yeah,
It
what
was
was
a
that about?
gay, it was a conference. So I know you've seen like Pose and stuff like that, right? The ball
Yeah.
community, the ball house. So it was a ball house conference.
Wow.
And I was vending at the ball house conference, and he took off work early and came to the venue to help me man my table. And I mean, the boys was at him, honey, and they was like, "Oh, you cute, who you here with?" and all of this. And he was like, "I'm here with Goody." And it's like, "All right, well, we like her, you know what I'm saying? So really, but if you get tired of her ass, you holler at us, you know what I'm saying?" And I
That was
and he was tripping, he wasn't doing any of that because he was like, I can't help it if I'm universally attractive. That's what he said, you know what I'm saying? So and I just love that he is very supportive. He's very sex positive. He's comfortable in his own skin and his own manhood. So it's not an issue when we're
yeah,
in communities, you know what I'm saying, that are not necessarily reflective of his own orientation. And I
right.
appreciate it. That's like I said, he's my person. You know what I'm
I
saying?
love
I think the universe knew what
your
they was doing when
soulmate.
they put him in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, your soulmate. Yeah, yeah. So speaking of being sex positive, because this is the whole reason why I do the Lovers Lounge, right? Is because, there's always such hangups with talking about love, relationships, and sex. I mean, in fact, I post things all the time and I'll get very little likes on them. But I think it's kicking up a little bit more. But I've got people like my boy Scott Hermans, who I know is watching right now. He always likes what I put out. My guy, Johnny, he likes, he always likes it. But I think at the end of the day, people are a little bit, I think they're a little embarrassed to
Hmm.
show support or interest in something that, might be talking about sex. Like right now, like I've told everybody, I'm going to be on. It's going to be a hot show. Da, 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 da. We're going to be talking about some good stuff. But people are a little bit, I think, reluctant to really put themselves out there to be like, make it known that they're interested or
Right.
that they are going to be listening or whatever.
Right.
So why
But
do
they're
you think
having
that
sex
is?
though. But they're
I,
having sex though.
I would think so. I would hope so. Well,
As
I don't
adults.
know though. Maybe they may be married. Maybe they're in a sexless marriage. I don't know. But why do
See,
you think that's? Yeah.
I think people don't want to associate themselves, and then like with social media, everything all information is sold and gleaned and all of that, and so a like for something shows up differently, and then now you're associated with this page or this thought or what have you, and so people are shy or ashamed because we do live in a very sex negative society because it's sex negative for women. And depending on the kind of sex positivity, is sex negative for men because dudes can talk about sex and pussy as long as it's heterosexual. They can talk about it, right? But if it gets to women empowering themselves around their sexuality, or if it gets to some sex that's not necessarily heteronormative, or maybe a practice, or like if you post about sex on your period, or if you post about sex in the shower or anal sex or something like that, people are like, oh, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to
Right. Right.
necessarily
Right.
get associated with it. But also with social media, people can see what you like. And
Mhm.
if you're connected to your job on Facebook, depending on
Right.
what you do for a living, I have
So they
educators like teachers that teach like kindergarten take all my classes, but they can't like nothing I post because they're teachers
they're
of children. And
they're
somehow we've conflated the idea that teachers of children are asexual, or that whoever employs these teachers has a right to their entire life, whether they're in or outside of the classroom. Um, and so there's a certain persona that they have to maintain. I think a lot of it is just about maintaining whatever persona they think they want to, if they post in scriptures on Sunday, they can't like blowjob class on Monday. You know what
right.
I'm saying? They don't think they can,
They don't
right?
think that, because I'll
Correct.
just say, I mean, for me, I host this show, right? And I talk about love, relationships, and sex, and I do that unapologetically. I am
Hmm.
also Christian. I am also saved. You know,
Hmm.
I love God. You know what I'm saying? I love God. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, God made our bodies, and He
Yes.
made everything about us.
And
And
pleasure and everything.
yeah,
Yes.
so therefore, why should I be embarrassed about something that He made? And obviously, if he made it, he intended for us to use it. Now, there's probably some controversy over when he intends for us to use it, whether we single
Hmm.
or married or whatnot. There's some clear indications of that. But at the end of the day, like you said on my last show, the marriage bed is
Hmm.
undefiled.
Is
So
undefined.
therefore, if you have a husband, then you ought to be listening and trying to figure out what it is that you and your husband can do,
I
you
would
know,
say if you have a wife too, because
and a
a lot
wife
of
or
times
whatever.
we gear these conversations toward women, because women, I think, are the most sexually repressed demographic or sexually oppressed demographic on this planet. But I think people men and people that have sex with women need to understand that they are also being oppressive and repressive, and so they need to figure out ways that they can nurture the sexual health and pleasure of the partners that they have. And I don't think that, I mean, I try not to be heteronormative, but
Yes, yes,
when you're
yes,
when
I
you're
do
dealing
too.
with any kind of relationship, any kind of romantic relationship, any kind of sex, there's always going to be a level of learning something new or being exposed to something new, or trying something new together, right? That adds intimacy and layers to the pleasure that you experience as a couple, no matter who is in this couple,
Right.
right? No matter what the orientations or genders or body types or whatever of these people in this couple or in this
Hmm.
relationship,
Hmm.
learning new things together or exploring new things together is intimacy building, because intimacy is what happens when you're not having sex. And so you get to share these things with each other that you don't necessarily get to share with the rest of the world, and learn things about your bodies and about your pleasure as a group together, and it brings you closer together. It's connectivity.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I like the fact that you spend a lot of time, you know, trying to help differentiate the difference between intimacy and then arousal and pleasure and moving into that. Because you've talked about it. You just said it. Intimacy is something that can be done, outside of, the
Correct. Intimacy is how you talk to me.
yeah,
Intimacy is how you look at me, if you how you touch me, hold my hand, give me a hug. If you help me with the dishes, help me with these kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not just my responsibility, right? And so intimacy is if whether I have a husband or I have a partner, because there's a difference.
right. Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? And so understanding that, and understanding the mind space and the non-sexual parts of relationship is what intimacy is. And I think when we talk about like learning new things together, sexually or non-sexually, it's gonna make your relationship stronger. Because
Yeah.
like you said, a sexless marriage, in my opinion, is even stronger than a marriage that has sex. Because
Okay.
that means that relationship is
At
held
least.
together with things outside of sexual experience.
Yes. Yes.
And so
Okay.
I think it's even stronger than a marriage with sex in it.
They just might need a little bit help in order to maybe
Well, no,
get
not even
to the
help. And
sex
this is
part.
the thing. So,
Mhm.
so, so sex positivity dictates that there are marriages that people don't have sex often, or maybe they
Yeah,
have sex once a year, what have you. And that's okay if it works for them.
if it
There's
works for
nothing
them.
wrong with that. They don't need
Yes.
help. They don't, you know what I'm saying? And so
If they
when we
are
talk
okay
about,
with it. Yes. Hmm.
correct, if they're good, then they are good. And I
Right.
think sexless marriage is, I think it's defined as having sex less than once a year with your partner.
Yeah.
Um, And so if that is the case, and this dynamic is so tight that they don't have to be fucking on each other all the time to maintain that,
Then so
that
be
is
it.
a beautiful thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's the kind of thing when I talk about sex positivity and stuff, I want us to recognize that relationships look different to people, and it may work for somebody, it may not work for someone else, but if it works for those folks, then let them have that. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
we especially people in my industry, Dee specifically, because she's a Christian sexologist, um, talk about that and talk about the marriage bed being undefiled and talk about desire and talk about intimacy and closeness and the frequency of sex and all of that stuff and how it shows up for us and how we can make space for it to show up differently for other people.
Hmm. Well, now this, let's get into this, because you do a lot of talking about pleasure, right? And you also talk about sensuality and then also sexuality. So can
Mm.
you break that down? Give us the difference between, the sensuality part and what you mean by that and what we ought to experience with sensuality, and then of course moving into the sexuality part. Yeah.
Okay, so sensuality, my definition of sensuality is experiencing non-sexual pleasure through all five of your senses, right? So sight, sound, taste, touch, scent. Non-sexual pleasure being it's cold outside right now, so that bite of chill on your skin may feel great, or you have on some clothes that feel good, or you hug someone and they smell amazing, or you have some food that just tastes like it was made by angels. Like you're experiencing a non-sexual pleasure through one of the five of your senses. And when you move through the world and live your life in a sensual way, right, being non-sexual pleasure, then when it's time to become sexual, you're experiencing sex through all five of your senses. And so it adds layers to your pleasure. It adds it adds intimacy because you're experiencing this with your partner. It improves closeness and all of that. But again, you're experiencing sex through all five of the senses. So it helps you even connect to more different kinds of orgasm, because there are over 18 different kinds of orgasm. So if you
Yeah.
live sexually and you have sex, now you have possibly more access to those different kinds of orgasm.
Right. And I want to talk about those different kinds of orgasms. Speaking of now
Okay.
pleasure and different kinds, because you broke down each and every one, and I was like, there was some that you mentioned that I was like, Lord, I just missed out because I don't know anything about that. So, can you just go through those different types of orgasms?
Okay, and you would think I would know all 18 off the dome by now, but sometimes I remember them and
Always
sometimes
have
I
to stop and think. Yeah.
don't. But okay, so there are more than 18 different kinds, because again, like sexuality in any science, we're always learning. So there may be more by this time next year. Um, so the main ones, the 18 that I typically talk about is the vaginal, the oral, the anal. Okay, then you have the nipple orgasm, because the nipples are connected to the same part of the brain as your genitals. Okay. Then you
Right.
have the A spot, U spot, P spot, G spot, U spot, cervical, clitoral, uh, pelvic, frenulum, birthgasm, skingasm, blended orgasm, mental orgasm, sleepgasm, skingasm. That's 19.
Yeah. You went over. Yeah.
And breathing. You can reach orgasm through breathing, like tantra.
Yes, okay. Now, there's probably somebody out there like I was when the first time I heard all of those from you. They're just like, "What? Hey, sounds like she's naming off the vowels." Um,
Yeah.
so you got to go into those letter ones again and talk about what they are, like which and what,
Which body parts? Okay. So the G spot, of course, is the Grafenberg spot. The G spot is 2 inches in and up inside a vagina. And it basically it helps you. It's a little, you can feel it. It's a little grainier patch of flesh inside the vaginal canal. So that's the G spot, which is actually the internal access point to the clitoris. The A spot is the anterior fornix, which is at the back of the vaginal canal, right before at the front back of the cervix, right where the cervix begins, at the top. Um, then you have the U spot, which is a urethra orgasm. So there's a ring of nerves around the urethra. So like if you have to pee real bad and you go
Yeah,
pee and you're like, whoo, like it just takes you over. It's similar to that.
yeah,
You have the A spot, U spot, G spot, P spot. P spot is the perineum, which is the space between the anus and the vaginal opening, or the anus and the scrotum, depending on if you have a penis or a vulva. Um, and then so you have like for let's say people with penises, right? The frenulum orgasm is the orgasm that happens at the tip of the penis, and that's the most common penis orgasm. So you see people masturbating, whatever, they focus on the tip, like right at the top of that frenulum. But there's also a pelvic orgasm, which happens in the hips, and it's more you can reach that from like angle when your partner is on top of you. It's easier to get a pelvic orgasm because of that pressure and that angle and that stroke and that rhythm. It kind of creates the perfect storm for the pelvic orgasm. Um, the vaginal orgasm is a blended orgasm. It is not just this. Most people are not going to just come from this, right? Is again the rhythm and the angle and the stroke and the pressure and all these things coming together to create the perfect storm that is a vaginal orgasm. So that's why the vaginal orgasm is a little bit more elusive than a clitoral orgasm,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so like all of these different things. And when I talk about the different kinds of orgasms, typically people hear me talking about orgasms for people with vulvas. These orgasms are, most of them can happen for both, for all body types. If you have a penis or a vulva or something in between, these orgasms, most of them are for both or
Uh-huh.
all.
Okay.
Um, there are some that are exclusively for people with vulvas and exclusively for people with penises, but like the nipple orgasm is for everybody, right? A
It
blended
is.
orgasm, breathing orgasm, a sleepgasm, all of that is for everyone.
Wow. Now tell me a little bit more about this sleep gasm, because I know I love me some sleep. I
I mean,
love
well, if
to get some
you,
rest.
it's kind of it's when you have like a sexual dream and it's way too real.
Oh, oh,
You
that
know what
kind
I'm
of.
saying? And
Okay. I'm like,
yeah,
what is that
yeah,
about?
it's
Okay.
like it's the product. It's what leads to a wet dream for
Wow.
people with penises.
Okay.
And like, have you ever had a waking orgasm? Like you are having sex in your sleep, in your dream, and then you wake up and you're like coming or on the verge of coming, or you wake up and you're just ready to go. That is
Yes.
those are sleep gasms.
All right. Well, see what I'm saying? See, every time I talk to you, I always learn something new.
And
Okay.
that makes me happy.
And then I say every time because if I'm watching you on YouTube, it's like I'm talking to you there, and I learn something that way too. Yeah. And I want to go back to the fact that there's not always a an orgasm for women through vaginal. Yeah, I want to talk
Mhm,
about because
mhm,
because I believe in listening to people who have come on my show, there's sort of a stereotype or a thought that this always happens for women.
right.
And what we're finding though medically that it doesn't. There
Correct.
could be women who never do or have never or whatever. So talk to me about that.
Well,
What
I think that again, the socially, TV tells us that vaginal orgasms happen every time, and that we're going to come together and just collapse on the bed afterwards, etc. So a vaginal orgasm, like I said, is a blended orgasm, and so if you're not having as much foreplay as you need, or you're not getting the right angle or stroke or pressure, you may not have a vaginal orgasm. And I
Mhm.
think the biggest disservice that we pay to people in general is that shows and stuff don't have sexuality educators or sexologists as consultants to make sure that shit is right with these shows, right? And so
Yes.
when we're talking about orgasm and vaginal orgasm and all these other things, first and foremost, you can have great sex without orgasm.
Okay.
I had
Right.
amazing sex where I didn't reach orgasm. So it's just like we gamify the orgasm to where that is the goal of sex. And sex doesn't count unless we have an orgasm. And that's not true. That's not the case. And so once we first of all reframe that,
Yeah.
then we will start to explore the pleasure, like I said, the sensuality in the sexuality, where you enjoy the pleasure. And so I have an analogy that I use all the time. It's a road trip, right? So road trip, we get in the car and the destination is orgasm, right? So we get in the car
Mhm.
and we so focused on the destination, on the orgasm, like, are you there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And it just seems like it takes forever to get there, right?
Yes.
Like
Right.
a watch pot never boils kind of thing, right? And
Mhm.
then you have another type of road trip where the orgasm is the destination, and you get in the car and they got the music playing and this snacks and y'all telling jokes and y'all, you having a good time. You're
Right.
enjoying the journey, the
Right.
pleasure that gets you to the orgasm. You're like, damn, we here already? It just pops up on you. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
for
Yes.
that, Exactly. And so for that to be the case, we have to reframe that you can have enjoyable sex without an orgasm so that you are enjoying the pleasure. And what will happen is you will experience different kinds of orgasms as opposed to just genital orgasms. You may be able to experience an oral orgasm or a nipple orgasm or something like that. And when I say oral orgasm, I mean reaching orgasm from using your mouth, not reaching orgasm from someone using their mouth on you. So a kissing orgasm, nipples in your mouth, reaching orgasm for performing oral sex on a partner, that is an oral orgasm. And if you are experiencing and enjoying and focused on and just on the pleasure of it all, that
Mhm.
orgasm doesn't matter to you because you're enjoying the pleasure that you're experiencing in that moment, and that could lead to orgasm.
Well, and here it is. Now I want to go, since you said that, you know where I'm going next. You are of the belief that if you are, let's like you said, pleasuring your man,
Mhm.
and you don't have an orgasm while you're
Correct.
doing that to him, that you have not, what'd you say?
Your life is incomplete. If you have not reached orgasm from performing oral sex, your life is incomplete. And that's for everybody, Tina. That's not just for the ladies now. If you are sucking dick or eating pussy, if you have not come with your partner's genitals in your mouth, your life is incomplete
Okay, now
because you're
you're
not
gonna
focused on the pleasure. Because what happens is when you
break it
start to
down.
give your when you give your partner pleasure, right? There's something called compersion where you get pleasure from your partner experiencing
See,
pleasure.
right, I know about that. I've heard about
So
that.
when you're performing oral sex on your partner, you're hearing them moan, you're hearing their breathing change, you're feeling their body tense up, you're feeling like you're experiencing all these things, and you're receiving pleasure from that. And when the workshops that I teach, when I teach lip service, which is the cunnilingus workshop, or I teach lick, which is the fellatio workshop, when I teach those, we talk about ways and we explore ways that you can connect your pleasure to giving your partner pleasure. So you sort of create this operant conditioning, and so you develop a Pavlovian response to performing pleasure for your partner, and it gives you pleasure.
All right, now I want to go there next, where you talked about sort of that performance and
Yeah.
getting, yes, you talk about the performance and getting really into it, because there are a lot of I'll just use women for example, that just really do not enjoy, fellatio with their
Mm-hmm.
man. You know what I mean? And they just they have a difficult time with it. They don't look
Mm-hmm.
forward to it. You've heard of some people say, well, this is something that happens on a special occasion, it's birthday
Right.
or something, or, whatnot.
Right.
It's not something that they, want to do on a regular. You laughing, but that's the truth. I mean, some
But no,
women
I'm
are like,
laughing because I hear it all the time. Yes. No. Yes.
they're like, no, don't do that all the time. So there's some things that you believe that need to take place when you're doing that,
Mm-hmm.
um, to enhance the
Yeah.
experience.
Absolutely.
Like, if you approach it, and I think you said something like with enthusiasm. If you approach it with enthusiasm,
Yeah.
um, it's better. So break that down. Talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, so when I say enthusiasm, like everyone that's like, what's the biggest sex tip, oral sex tip you can give? And I say it's enthusiasm. The biggest thing you can bring to the table is enthusiasm because it's not like you have to suck that dick. You get to suck that dick, right? That's yours. You're gonna suck it, right? So, and if you're not, somebody is. Please know, if you're not doing it, it's getting sucked. Just know you're not the one sucking it. Um, Fight me if you want to, but I said what I said. But I think that we take into consideration of we don't again equate our pleasure with their pleasure, and so we look at it as we doing something for them.
Hmm.
And I think socially we have framed sex in its entirety as something that we give away, as something that we give up, not something that we actively participate in and enjoy as women, as people with vulvas, as female body identified folks, right?
Right.
It's framed as you giving it up, your virginity is taken. You feel me? Like we
Yeah.
don't even think about our pleasure, and we say, "Oh, we doing it for them. We do this is for them." And so when you start to look at it from a sensual perspective,
Hmm.
and you start to connect your sensuality to your sexual acts, then you start to again equate your pleasure with their pleasure and make that connection. And so it's something that you're doing for each other. You're not thinking about I gotta suck this dick. You're thinking about the firmness of the dick on the tongue and the softness of the lips around, like, you're thinking about all of those things, the way they're holding their breath, the way their body tenses up in anticipation, the noises that they make, the way way it slides between your lips. All these different things is what you're thinking about, and you're getting pleasure from that because you're allowing yourself to give layers and recognize the layers of the pleasure. And I think that holistically society tells us that it's just something that we do to please our partner. It's not something that we get pleasure from.
Yeah. Well, and you actually have classes
Yes.
that you teach on a variety of things. Like it's lick
Yes.
and it's lip. I got that kind of
Uh-huh.
mixed up last time, but I know
Yeah,
now.
it's lip service because it's vulva lips, so lip
Yes, the
service.
lips. Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes, exactly. And then you have rhinology. So
Yeah.
I want to first start with lick. What
Okay.
what is this class about, and what can one know that they're going to learn or walk away with when they take this?
Okay.
What are the
Well,
objectives?
lick is my blowjob class. That's a dick sucking class. And first and foremost, everyone is welcome to take this class if you're trying to suck dick. Because dudes ask me all the time, can they be there? Are you trying to suck dick? If you're trying to suck dick, you can be there. Because men try to be in there and be salacious and watch all the people do all the things. Well, that's not what I do. Right.
Right.
But the online workshops, it's a webinar format. So you can only see me and you get the replay for 30 days. So you can go back and rewatch and take notes or what have you. But we go over the anatomy of the mouth, hand, throat, and penis. We go over gag reflex control, dental placement, saliva, eye contact, how to incorporate toys into your performance, how to incorporate consumables and edibles and things into your performance, fellatio-friendly positions, diet, hygiene, all of the things. And you will walk away more confident in your blowjob game just because you know how something feels good, but when you know the why of it feeling good, it just adds to your confidence.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And I do the
Yeah.
same thing with lip service, which is the pussy eating class. Same thing with lip service. It's very, very similar. It's just a vulva instead of a penis. And I love, like I said, sexual skill building because I love to see how people's attitudes and personas kind of shift when they have this formal instruction around something that they do all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's anything that you do. If you build spreadsheets for fun and then you take a Excel class and they teach you all these hacks on the back end, you feel like you're like, oh shit, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? It's any type of education. And so my
Mm-hmm.
workshops are not sexual spaces, they are educational spaces. But if you choose to go and practice what you learned, then go for it. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a webinar type situation. So if you want to take the blowjob class and have your partner there with you and practice on them at the time, that's on you. I am not, I won't know because this webinar I can't see you, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's a great class. I've taught it hundreds of times to thousands of people,
You're right.
and everyone's loved it.
Yeah.
Everyone has walked away with at least one thing they didn't know before.
Well, here's the thing. I even have heard that there are women who have taken the lick, and then they're like, oh, well, my husband he must need to take the lip because if I done learned all this on the lick class, then I won't. And,
Yeah.
and then they sign him up. Where do I sign this man up? So anyway, yes, yes, I heard about that. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
even had Andrea when she was on my show. She mentioned your rhidology class.
Yay. She's
Yeah,
taking
she
it,
did.
I do believe.
So I want you to explain about rhinology. What is it that people learn? What are the objectives? What will I walk away knowing how to do?
Okay. Well, I created Rhinology because I get questions all the time about how to last longer on top and stamina and all that stuff. So the
Yeah.
objectives are when you take the workshop, you will walk away. You're learning how to get on top with control, confidence, and stamina. Those are
Mhm.
my three goals. Okay. You don't have to have Meg the Stallion knees. Like I said, I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm from Texas. And if y'all know anything about Texas, cheerleading is the number one sport here. So I have a bad back and bad knees because of my cheerleading, life. So you don't have to have
All right.
good knees for this, right? And the way I teach it is a partner on top workshop. So you can be riding dick with your pussy, your asshole, or two vulvas rubbing together. It works for all of that.
Hmm.
Um, and we go over I call it an erotic fitness class because you will break a sweat. Like we go over stretches and workouts and things to help you get to a place where you're more flexible so you can enjoy riding more in the long term. And as people, as we age, we need to be stretching and doing all those things anyway. So
Yeah.
we go over that first, and then we go over the actual positions. I teach you the position first, and then I
Hmm.
have an assistant come in, and she lays down, and I get on top of her basically, and I show you how the bodies fit together in the different positions that I've taught. Um, it is an amazing workshop. I actually have one coming up on Saturday,
Hmm.
just in time for Valentine's Day, and it's only $35. And like I said, if you can't make it because it's Valentine's weekend,
Hmm.
you get the replay for 30 days. So even if you just buy the ticket and look at it later, it's important to have that skill set, right? Um, and then I love Rideology because so many people have taken that class and they email me and they're like, I feel so good about this class. And I think because I'm a big girl, I'm 5'5", 265, So when you see little girls trying to teach these little classes and stuff, and it's cute. But when you see a woman of size teaching it, and I'm
Right.
not out of breath, I'm not tripping, I'm flexible, I'm doing the things, right? It I think it empowers you no matter what your body size is or body
Yeah.
type is, because you can see that there's really not, it's not as limiting as maybe what you thought it was going to be.
Right.
You know
Right.
what
Right.
I'm saying?
Like they're like, okay, well, I guess I can be able to do this. That's
Right.
how
If
they're.
she can do it, I can do it kind of thing,
Yeah.
basically. And I'm good with that because I think it's by default body positive because I don't have a typical what people would assume a sexually active, like not sexually active, but sexually active
Yeah.
body
Hmm.
would look,
Hmm.
right. And
Yeah.
I be moving like it's not so a lot of times TV and media tells us that this is what dick riding looks like.
Yeah. Right.
We do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Ah,
it's a big difference. You know what I'm saying?
see? Yeah.
It's the Diamond versus the Ronnie, right? And if you're not old enough to get that reference, Players Club, Google it. It's the Diamond versus the Ronnie.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. Okay, I get it. All right. Well, and not only that, you also have some toys that you offer,
I
right?
do, I do. I
On your
love so.
site. On your site,
Mhm.
you actually have plenty of toys. But today, I know it's bad weather in Dallas.
Yeah,
Bad weather for you guys. We would think it was a walk in the park here in
y'all
Indiana,
would
but
be, it would be nothing. Listen, it would be nothing for y'all, but I am
business as
Southern on
usual.
purpose.
Yeah.
Y'all weather done came down here and got drunk and is laying and hanging out and it's just down here acting up. There was a 100 car pileup
Oh
in
no.
Dallas on the freeway, and there are still like 30 some odd people still trapped in their cars at this point. So I ain't going out there. And it's not snowing, but what happens is it'll freeze and then it'll
Yes.
melt and it'll refreeze. And so then it's transparent, so you can't see it. So it just looks like a road, and so you sliding on it.
Yeah, I know. I
And so
know. And
I'm not going. So and all my toys are at my office, and so I'm in my house. I'm in my house right now. So this is my home backdrop.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I don't have my toys with me. But yes, I do sell toys, and one of my favorite hobbies is to find aftermarket ways to use common sex toys. And so I do have one little toy here, one little bullet here that I can show you all the ways I figured out how to use it after the fact. Um,
Yes.
but I do sell toys every Saturday. I highlight a new sex toy. It's called Sex Toy Saturday on my Instagram and Facebook pages because I think that we don't know. I do sell sex toys, but I think that we don't really know how we can use sex toys by ourselves or with a couple or with a partner. And I think that it's important to see them in action. Now, no, I don't got my legs cocked up, showing them how to use the toy, but we do like an
Yes.
educational demonstration of how to use them. And I think people are really responsive. You can kind of tell on my website which toy I highlighted that week because that's the one that people buy. And I
Yes.
think getting that instruction helps them feel more comfortable with those kind of purchases too. So
Okay. All right. So tell us about the one you have, the bullet you.
okay. So this is a bullet. I'm gonna put it a little closer to the camera. This is a bullet. And this is a wireless bullet. So it has like watch batteries in it. And I love the sex and tech has come a long way. So we have
I
wireless bullets, we have rechargeable bullets that you can like plug in and they charge up and then you take them off the charger. We have the ones that are like USB powered, so they have a cord, but they plug into the USB like maybe like a wall, but like for the phone or into the computer or what have you. But this is just like a little wireless, hands-free kind of, wireless thing. And so with a bullet, you use it on the clit, you use a little lubricant and you put it on the clit like this, right? And so that kind of gives you some stimulation, some pleasure, some vibration. But you can also insert the bullet into the vaginal canal and then perform oral sex on the vulva. So you're
Okay.
getting that internal and external stimulation.
Great.
You can put it under your chin and perform oral sex on a vulva, so your partner is getting the vibration through the mouth.
I
You can
see.
put it under your chin and perform oral sex on a penis. Again, vibration through the mouth. You can put the bullet behind the testicles. So it's right behind the testicles while you're performing oral sex on the dick. So the like the base, the root of the penis is getting vibration. You can have it in your hand. There are some that have like a finger strap on the back, and you can put your finger so you can like use it while you're performing oral sex on a penis. Like have it in your hand. Like you can't
Wow.
even really tell. Like it's not intrusive. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
And then you're sliding it while you're performing oral sex on the penis. So it's a great situation there. And so those are just really quick ways that you can use it. Now, if you have a bullet with a cord, it has to have a cord. Then you can insert it anally and perform oral sex on the like you can be sucking a dick or eating a pussy if there's a but it has to have a cord on it because your
That's
anus is
right.
a
It'll take it
vacuum
all the way up.
and it'll
Yes,
suck it. It'll
indeed.
be inside your small intestine, and now you got a whole nother
Oh
issue
my
and
gosh.
sent you to the
Yes.
ER. So make sure it has a cord on it. But yeah, like just something simple like this, it's versatile and you can use it by yourself or with a partner. Even if you like, let's say you have a penis, you can use this by yourself. You could put it in your hand and hold your balls and then stroke the rest of your dick. So now you have again that vibration through the base of your penis, and that helps you. It helps you reach other types of orgasms. Like I said, that pelvic orgasm, that P spot orgasm. Those are penis orgasms that people can have if they just
Yes.
up their sensuality when they're performing for themselves or with their partner.
Wow. Okay. Now, that there's that one toy, and I hate we don't have it, but you can describe it
Mhm.
that I like, and it's that one that's like a bunch of pearls, and I was cracking up. You
Oh, the pearl stroker.
yes. So talk about
So
that. Yeah.
it's a pearl stroker, and it's basically like a tube. It looks almost like a tube of pearls, and the string in between the pearls is really stretchy. Now, I tell people don't go get like little stretchy bracelets and stuff and try to recreate this. The material in the string is industrial, so it's designed to be like stretched all out of control and fervently used, right? And so you loop up the pearls and you slide them over the penis, and so they're in your hand, and so you can use them to masturbate the penis. You can use them while you're performing oral sex on the penis. If you want to have sex with it on, you put a condom on over it.
Hmm.
Because if your Kegels are worth anything, anal Kegels, penile Kegels, or vaginal Kegels, to be clear,
Yeah.
that pearl stroker will come off the dick and be inside your body, and now you have to get a rubber glove and some lubricant and play doctor to get it back. So you want to make sure that you're putting a condom on over it just to keep it in place so you can relax and enjoy the pleasure. Because if you don't, you're not gonna be able to relax because you're gonna always be like, is it still on there? Is it still, And so but I love the pearls because they're so they add texture, and that's again sensuality, that's touch. And so
Sensuality.
adding layers to the pleasure effortlessly is what we're searching for, because again, no matter how long you've been with your partner, no matter how long y'all have been together, you want to add layers to the pleasure and try new things. And it's not always a sex toy. Sometimes it's a position, sometimes it's having sex in a new part of your house, sometimes it's doing something like some BDSM dice, right? Or some oral sex dice or something like that. It doesn't always have to be something that vibrates or, and that's what I like about the pearls is because they're very low tech and they're very non-intrusive, and it's something simple and easy that you can introduce to your partner play that doesn't make them feel like, oh, I'm not enough for you, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
again, male
Absolutely.
fragility.
Yeah.
But it's a great toy, and the bullet is, like I said, very versatile and easy to introduce into partner play as well. So those are the kinds of things I want people to think about, because when we think of sex toys, typically we think of big old dick shaped vibrators and dildos,
Right.
and that's not always what they are. There are so many sex toys for men, for people with penises. And I tell people sex toys don't have an orientation, right? So there's a sex toy, it kind of looks like this, and you put it into the vagina, and then this part tickles the clit, right?
Right.
But you can also put it into an anus, and then this part will tickle the back of the scrotum.
I see. Okay.
You see
See,
what I'm
so
saying?
yeah,
So
use it
you can use
men
it
or
for
women.
any kind of
Unisex.
body.
Hmm.
Right. And so I show people those accessories in those ways because a lot of times people don't see themselves or see their pleasure in the toy that they're looking at.
Right.
And I
I want to
really try to make. Go ahead. I'm
sure.
sorry.
That's okay. I was gonna say because you made me think about it. You're talking about the sex toys for men now because
Mhm.
I'm hoping that it's becoming more and more socially acceptable and there's not so much of a stigma and there's people aren't embarrassed. but it used to be, men didn't want to admit to using something like a prostate stimulator,
Mhm.
putting it in their
They still like it. They still not trying to admit. They may use them, but
right.
they won't admit it,
It was
unless they're
a
not.
no-no.
There's right. There are a few, but or like cock rings, are and strokers and things like that. Um, the prostate, the anus is always a touchy subject, especially for heterosexual men.
Yes.
It's a touchy subject.
So
Um,
why is that? Why is that?
because again, society is really cruel and heteronormative, and it's apparently for some people, there's no worse thing in the world than being gay, and I feel like there's a whole lot worse shit you can be. Um, I'm from the school of thought that it doesn't matter who you sleep with or who you're attracted to. If you ain't shit, you ain't shit. If you're a liar, if you're a thief, if you're two faced, if you're manipulative, you're those things no matter who you are attracted to, right? But typically we associate anal play in men with homosexuality, and a lot of people are not evolved enough to understand that the only thing that makes you gay is being a man that's attracted to another man. That's it. It's the attraction piece. The
Yes.
physical things do not make you gay. If you like your ass licked, if you like a finger in your ass, if you like even if you like, let's say you want you're a male and you have sex with women and you want your female partner to put on a dildo and fuck you in your ass with the dildo, that's still technically, for all intents and purposes, is not gay because you want a woman to do it.
Right. Absolutely. And
Right.
they call
What
it what?
makes it gay is you being a grown man and you look at another grown man and go, damn, he could get it. That's gay. And ain't no sex even happened. It's attraction.
Yes.
We conflate those things and we don't want to explore our pleasure. A lot of people with dicks like their nipples played with and sucked and licked on, but they don't want to ask for that or explore that because nipples are feminized in our culture. And of course, there's nothing worse than being feminine. That's really the issue that people have with being gay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so it's a bigger exploration. And as a sexologist, these are the kind of conversations I have. I don't get to
Yes.
just talk about it's not all rainbows and dildos all the time. You know what I'm saying? We have to have these in-depth cultural conversations as well. And so I really try to keep it light and make sure that people understand that their pleasure is connected to sociocultural constructs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I try to make sure that it's in bite sizes that people can understand. And I think the best of us, those of us that are sexologists, that's what we do. We take those higher functioning concepts and frameworks and sociocultural commentaries and tropes and scripts, and I won't say dumb it down, but we break it down into bite-sized pieces that lay
So
people can understand and embrace.
well, yeah, and I mean that is why I do this show, and I invite so many, sexologists and different people on the show. It's interesting
Mhm.
because when I started the show, I said, well, I'm going to invite all kinds of people. We're going to talk about this and talk about that. But what I notice is that the people who listen to my show, they really like it when I turn the heat up. So like
Mhm.
you. They like guests like you,
Yeah.
sexologists that are really bringing, some information, to
Mhm.
help or something that they don't know and all of that. So thank you so much for doing what you do. And yeah, and I tell you, people love you, and I know that the folks who listen to the Lovers Lounge, they love you.
I'm
So
excited about it. I love them back. I love what I do. I love that I get this is what I do for a living. Like the fact that I went and got two master's degrees and I actually resumed
I
my
know.
PhD in March, and I use my master's degree in social work and public health to do my work, and this is what I do for a living.
Mhm. I know.
I'm I'm excited about that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like I'm shifting culture and I'm supporting Black people specifically because that's my target market, my priority population.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm helping us connect to our freedom and be more unapologetic about our pleasure because Black love matters, just like Black lives matter. And we are so socialized to struggle that we forget to thrive.
Yeah.
And you can't think about pleasure and the layers of that and the freedom associated with that if you're trying to get your bills paid and you're trying to get home alive and shit like that. And so I think that we lose sight of that and we disconnect from that, and we need that joy and pleasure to balance out all the weight that we have of
Yes.
existing in this country on this planet. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yes.
for me, it's revolutionary to be
Yes.
able to connect to pleasure in unapologetic ways and people be able to call on me and I help them do the same thing. I love it. I love what I do.
Well, that's good. And that's a blessing when you can do something and love what you do and then do it and it doesn't even seem like work. because it's just so much of you and
Mhm.
so much of what you love that it doesn't even seem like work. It's awesome.
Yep.
That's the best thing. So how can people get in touch with you? How can they get on your site, hear more from you? What, yeah, that kind of thing.
Um, well, my name is Goody. That's my legal name. And everyone asks Goody everything, right? So I am Ask Goody, AskGoody on everything. I am at Ask Goody on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of the things. I even when there's a new social media platform, I'll go get my name. I may not
Mhm.
use it because I have a Snapchat, but I don't Snapchat. I have a TikTok. I have not ticked nor talked as of yet. Um, but I have those things, right? My website is askgoody.com and my email address is askgoody@gmail.com. Like I really try to make it easy for people.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Lovers Lounge anniversary show. This is a
Of course, happy
year.
anniversary.
Thank you. It's a year of doing the Lovers Lounge podcast, and you know, we've had listeners from all over the United States and all over, you know, different countries all over the world. So it's pretty exciting. I never thought that, you know, people would be listening like in Korea and, you know,
Right.
Ghana.
That's a
Yeah,
big deal. You
Ghana.
should be very proud
Yeah,
because
Russia.
podcasting is hard. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
I thought I was going to do a podcast, child, and I did it for a whole 3 months. I said, this ain't for me.
It's
Like
hard.
the scheduling and I don't do nothing at the same time every day. So having to be listen, I am
Yes.
so proud of you. And I think that it is great that you have made it a year. A lot of podcasts don't make it a year. And I think it's amazing that you've made it a year. And I can't wait to see how you continue to grow and thrive. And, I will always be there for it, cheering you on because it is amazing. You are making Black History, child. And I am
Thank,
excited for you. So happy anniversary.
thank you. 100 episodes, and you are the 100th.
Yes,
Yes, yes, yes, yes. So thank you, thank you. And I will be talking with you again soon. And I know you're going to come back. I know you're going to
of course. Of course.
come. All right.
Of
Thank
course.
you so much. And thank you guys for watching the Lovers Lounge podcast live with Goody Howard. And we'll be talking to you real soon with the Andrea Blaylock Johnson. That's going to be episode 101. It's coming up live real soon. Thanks.